Alright guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my review for Terrifier 2. This one came out in 2022. It is starring David Howard Thornton, Lauren Lavera, and Elliot Fulham and was directed by Damien Leone. Man, dude. First of all, it feels good to be back. I am newly employed at a place that employs people, and it's been a very draining couple of weeks, and I knew I did not want to approach this review, or really any review, with a half-empty tank, and especially for this, man, because good God, if you want to survive this movie, you have to have a full fucking tank at the very least, because this movie is just batshit fucking wild. But before I get into the actual review, I wanted to commend Damien Leone and just everybody involved with this movie, because what we have here is an independent film with a budget of $250,000. I believe I'm correct on that one. A little more than their first effort with the first Terrifier movie, but still, if you look at it, it's not a lot of money in the film world. And they took this movie and they put it in theaters for a little theatrical run, or at least what they thought would be that. And then word of mouth starts spreading, and you start hearing about people passing out in the theaters and puking and all this crazy shit. And it really brought me back to the old days of horror, where you'd hear shit like that with The Exorcist and with The Omen and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all this stuff. And it really got people interested. And what was originally supposed to be like a week-long run in the theater turned into 2 weeks, which turned into a month, which turned into 2 months. I think this movie was in the theaters for like 4 months. I may be right, maybe wrong on that one. But, and it pulled in $10 million. That is fucking awesome. For a movie that's not backed by some big Hollywood studio with a bunch of studio meddling and all that shit. And a movie where a director and writer got to really express his vision and is now extremely successful for embracing and expressing that vision. That's fucking awesome, man. So I really, really wanted to commend Damien Leone and just everybody involved, because that is fucking incredible. But moving on to the actual movie itself, this movie's fucking insane. I'll say that right out of the gate. This is not going to be a movie for everybody. In fact, this is not a movie for even all horror fans. This is a very graphic, gory, bloody, mean fucking movie. Like, it does not give a fuck about your feelings at all. Like, at fucking all. I've seen violent films, and I'm not going to just sit here and hyperbole it up and say, oh, this is the most violent film I've ever fucking seen, because this is just not true. At this point, it's kind of impossible to really say, oh, what's the most violent film, because that could mean anything, The gore in this movie is very, while it is prevalent, it's also meant to be, like, fun. It's not meant to be, like, it's not meant to ruin your day or anything like that. It's just crazy, campy, gory goodness. And then you look at something like Rambo, like the 2008 Rambo, that is just unapologetically fucking disgusting and gory and bloody in a way that is not fun. And it is very disheartening to watch. Violence in film is very subjective of what bothers people. Something like this doesn't bother me, because the tone is not indicative of something that would bother me, because it's just not the type of movie. That's just me personally. I know people who watched this movie and they fucking vomited, so it really goes either way. but yeah, man. So anyways, this movie's absolutely fucking crazy. The main draw of this film is to watch Art the Clown fucking demolish people. And you get that. You absolutely get that. But I would say on another end of things, something that impressed me just as much was the devotion to storytelling in this one. You know, the first Terrifier, and Damien Leone would say this himself, the first Terrifier was really intended to be an introduction to Art the Clown, the character. So the storytelling wasn't super... Excuse me. The storytelling wasn't super prevalent. I mean, there's a story there in that first Terrifier movie, but it's not really the soul of the movie. And, you know, same with the first Terrifier. Like I said, Art the Clown kills the shit out of a lot of people, but they really take their time and develop a good story here on either side. As far as the protagonists go, we have Sienna and her family, who have just recently lost their father, and they all kind of tackle that loss in their own ways. It's still a relatively new loss. It's been about a year, and so they're all kind of dealing with it in their own ways. And as the movie goes on, you kind of learn the details of their father's death and why it fucked them up so bad. But they all kind of tackle it differently, and I think, you know, it's obviously, you know, it can be seen with Sienna and her brother Jonathan, but I think where it really hits home is with the mom. Now, you look at the mom character in this movie, and you're gonna kind of see someone who is just, you know, oh, she's mean, she's a bitch, yada, yada, yada. But as someone who has known people in that similar situation, it takes a toll. And it can really, really take a toll on people mentally. And I really like that there is time devoted to, you know, just that situation ravaging this family. And before Art the Clown even gets to them, they are already in a weakened state. And they're not all where they need to be in order to face this fucking demented killer clown. And they really have to, oh, especially Sienna, really has to kind of find herself in order to battle this crazy evil. And I really, really like that they set aside some time to really tell that story with those characters. And speaking of stories, we also get a little development for Art the Clown. We, you know, in that first one, it's really just established that here's this fucking demented, crazy-ass clown that does not speak. And it's, you know, pretty much given away at the end of the movie that, oh yeah, this guy isn't even human. And that is expanded upon a lot more in this movie, to where now everyone's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, what the fuck is this dude? You know, we get pretty much a reveal of how he was resurrected. Or not really a reveal, because we're not exactly sure, but you know, he goes to the laundromat and he finds this, he sees this little girl, and she's, you know, she's kind of painted up like him. She pisses this black fucking viscous liquid. I don't fucking know. It's kind of like acidic. It's very, very disgusting. And he plays patty cake with her, and it's shown that Art the Clown is the only one who can see her, because there's a dude sleeping in the laundromat who Art the Clown inevitably kills. But, you know, when he wakes up, and it's just a fucking butt-ass naked Art the Clown, which is something I just did not need to see, but he's just playing patty cake with himself. And it's interesting because they flip that to where Sienna and her brother, Jonathan, they can both see this fucking demonic little girl. But only they can, and only Art the Clown can. And I see people pointing that out as a flaw in the movie. I don't think so, man. I think that was a very deliberate choice. And I think as these films go on, we're going to learn a little bit more about that. And that's really exciting. And I thought that was a really, really cool little addition. And, you know, Sienna kind of realizes a little more about her dad and how he plays into all of this. And, you know, there's plenty of places where they can go. Is their dad Art the Clown? I doubt it. Did he know something about Art the Clown that nobody else did, and he's trying to pass that on to Sienna? Like, there's so many different routes they could go with this story, and they build a lot of that here, and I really, really think that's fucking cool. And we'll get into a little more of Art the Clown's story at the ending of this movie. But yeah, man, it's really cool to see stuff like that, and I really like this movie for being an absolute fucking gore fest, but really, setting aside a little time and really telling a solid story. I thought it was really cool. Yeah, is it wacky? Is it fucking insane? Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but I like stuff like that sometimes. It's like it's pretty well known now that this is not a super gritty, grounded in reality, realistic horror franchise. This is meant to be fun. So I say to people who are very critical of this movie, just have fucking fun with it, man. Now, I will say, is this a perfect movie? No. No, it's not. I think, the only real complaint I have, beyond some minor nitpicks, like high school students being able to just openly order drinks and shit like that, and there's definitely some noticeable flaws, but they're fucking nitpicks. It's really nothing important. I'd say the only real flaw of this movie would be the runtime. I think the runtime is a little lengthy, and not in a good way. I think there are scenes in this movie that do kind of drag on for a little too long, and it's mostly for the sake of dialogue and just kind of explaining things, and not the most boring way possible or anything, but it's just, I really feel, this movie was edited by Damien Leone as well, and I really feel like he could have chopped this up a little more, kind of whittled it down to at least an hour and like 40 minutes or something. That's just me though, when I say that, at the same time, I'm glad he got to tell his story in the way that he wanted to do it, because I bitch about studio meddling all the time, and now someone gets to release their own movie the way they want, and I'm bitching about that too. So what the fuck do I know? Other than that though, man, I really enjoy everything about this fucking movie besides that. Like, there's really not a whole lot to complain about. Speaking of shit that I like, let's talk about Art the Clown, man. Let's talk about David Howard Thornton. I mentioned in the first Terrifier review that I did that, first of all, his performance of this character is, in the horror realm, it will be iconic. It'll be one of those things that people talk about for a very long time. And as we, I'm sure, get a Terrifier 3 and, maybe 4 or 5, I don't know how long it's going to go. But however long we do get this character, I can't imagine anybody else but David Howard Thornton playing him. Sure, you could say it's like, oh, he's just a silent character, anybody can do it. But it's the way he carries himself. It's his movements. It's the way he stands still. It's his facial expressions beyond under that makeup and shit. It's just the way that David does this role is so fucking special. To me, people say like, oh, nobody but Robert Englund can play Freddy Krueger. Nobody but David Howard Thornton can play Art the Clown. And on the flip side of that, I gotta say, this movie introduces kind of Art the Clown's foil in Sienna, and she has all these powers that I guess were bestowed upon her from her father, and we'll get more answers to that. And, she is Art the Clown's foil. She's the one who ends up doing what nobody else could do, and at least momentarily, fucking kills him and takes him out. And I gotta say, man, Lauren Lavera, I mentioned it before that I really liked the family characters in this movie, but Lauren Lavera is a fucking rock star, man. I thought she was incredible. I want this series to revolve around her just as much as it revolves around Art the Clown. And I really hope we do get to see more of that character. I imagine we will. Same with Jonathan. Obviously, we won't be seeing Barbara, but I'm sold, man. Give me Terrifier 3, 4, whatever you want to do. As long as the story stays this fun, cool, wicked fucking tale of good versus evil, I'm all fucking for it, man. Give me the blood and the guts along with it. I'm fucking sold, man. And as far as this film is concerned, it really does climax in the theme park where Jonathan is kidnapped and Art the Clown lures Sienna to the Terrifier, which I thought was pretty fucking funny. And they have this crazy fucking duel where at first Art the Clown takes that magical sword and stabs Sienna through the gut. And the first time I saw this movie, I was like, no! The fact that this movie made me have that reaction shows the quality of the writing here, man. I don't know if anybody else cared. I highly doubt that. I'm sure a lot of people did. And I was one of them, man. I was just really, really enthralled with this story. And, you know, he stabs her through the gut, and then she kind of flashes back to this dream sequence, and she's in this tank, and the wound fucking... the wound, like, lights up and kind of seals and shit. She comes back, and like I said, wacky stuff, but it's fun. Speaking of that dream sequence, holy fucking shit. That's one of those scenes that, in my opinion, does kind of drag on for a little long. But my god. It's just fucking insane shit. It's one of those things I really can't even, me speaking about it doesn't do it justice. Just go watch the movie. But anyways, so Sienna comes back and she inevitably does take out Art the Clown. I love her like chopping away at him, and he's kind of beaten, and he's like, ah, you bitch, you got me. And then like he's kind of looking at her, and then he just goes, because she's chopping at his neck, and he just is like, he's like, yeah, go for it, go, do it, it'd be fun. And she does, man. She chops this fucker's head off. The little girl comes out pissed as fuck. She is not happy at all. But yeah, she comes out and basically grabs the head and retreats. Get a nice little happy ending there with Sienna and Jonathan until mid-credit scene. We get Le Champion, the Ocho, Chris Jericho himself playing a security guy at this insane asylum along with this nurse. And I love the little detail of like, oh, can you give me some of that? Like his wife made him like a brains platter and shit for Halloween, and he's scooping up all these brains. Meanwhile, the final girl, or the surprise final girl from the first Terrifier, after she's all disfigured, she's gone insane, and she's in there basically giving birth, and she's wiping blood all over the fucking all over the walls and shit, and just, I think it says art plus, can't remember her name. It'll come to me eventually at some point. But you know, she writes all this shit in her own vaginal blood all over the fucking walls, and eventually the nurse does come by, and she kind of looks in the window, and she has given birth to an Art the Clown head that kind of opens its eyes and smiles at the nurse, and he's just this literal head, and this woman, this disfigured woman, is laughing, and her eye is lighting up, and you're like, what the fuck? Just, that ending for me is just so fucking wicked and crazy. And I'm really looking forward to Terrifier 3, where maybe it'll pick up like this one did from Terrifier 2 into 3, and we get to see Chris Jericho eat it at the hands of an Art the Clown head. I really hope at least the first couple minutes of that movie is this woman, this disfigured woman, running around with an Art the Clown head, killing people, I think, and eventually Art the Clown just grows into Art the Clown. If I was booking it, I'd have it start like that. But anyways, we're talking about stuff that's not in the movie. Yeah, man. If it's not already pretty plain to see, I really fucking like this movie. It is batshit insane. You know, little problem with the runtime here and there, but overall, man, I just think this movie is well worth the time. And yeah, man, that'll do it for the review portion of the video. But for God's sake, did you really think I was going to review Terrifier 2 without talking about the blood, the guts, and the gory bits? You're out of your fucking mind, baby. It's time for the kill the film. Stick around. I don't know where to start. Like I said, Terrifier 2 is fucking brutal. Absolutely insanely fucking gory. I love that a movie like this was released in the theaters and people were passing out and puking and all that shit. I love it. Because I'm a weird fucker. But anyways, man, let's get right into it here. We start out, straight from Terrifier 1, him bashing in what the fuck do you call him? Mortician. That's what you call him. Bashing into Mortician's teeth and is taking out his eye and replacing his eye. I don't remember him losing his eye in the first Terrifier film. Maybe it just kind of popped during all the crazy electrical shit that was going on while he was being resurrected, but whatever. But at some point he lost his eye, so he gouges out the fucking I can't remember the technical name. He gouges out this fucking guy's eye and he fucking sticks it in there and he's like, whoa, fucking crazy, bloody, gross shit. And then finally just smashes this guy's skull and takes his fucking brain out. It's like, what the fuck? But he ends up running out of there and we flash to present day. We get the cashier at the, at Hocus Pocus at the Halloween shop. They close up shop. And by the way, big shout out to that whole sequence with Sienna and Art the Clown of him just trying on the different glasses. And again, just very, very good visual, physical performance from David Howard Thornton. And also Lauren Lavera just pretending to be absolutely fucking terrified, which I would not blame her. But anyways, eventually they close up shop and Art the Clown takes a beer bottle to this fucker's head, ends up stabbing the broken piece of the bottle in the dude's eye, hatchet to the fucking temple, and just chops this dude's fucking head off, and he just is playing with it, poses with it in the window and all this crazy shit. We get Art the Clown hiding in Barbara's vandalized car. When she wipes away the shaving cream from the window, he has a shotgun. I love that we're continuing the tradition of Art the Clown using guns in a slasher film. That's pretty fucking cool. But he uses this shotgun and completely blows this woman's head just completely apart with a sawed-off. Absolutely fucking crazy shit. Jonathan comes home. And he has Art the Clown's wearing an apron and he fucking shoves mashed potatoes in her fucking face and her open face hole. It is fucking disgusting shit. Loved the boyfriend stepping out of the car to take a piss and Art the Clown just repeatedly stabs this fucker right in the cock. Oh my god. And then you literally see him pull off this dude's dick. It's like, oh! And then he goes to the fucking window and he's teasing his girlfriend with it. And he's like, oh, just the tip, like the dude was wearing on the shirt. Funny, gross, brutal. What am I missing? The shit with the possum was just fucking disgusting. Them pulling out all the guts and shit. It's not really a kill because the thing's already dead, but that was fucking gross. I loved the mop stick being snapped off, and then we see the aftermath of him shoving the mop through the dude's fucking head at the laundromat. That was fun. And overall, man, I know I'm probably missing something. But I think everyone is expecting that kill in the bedroom to be my kill of the film. And it's not. It's not. It's really not. And I'll explain why. And we will then reveal my actual kill of the film. Do I love the kill from a bloody, gory, disgusting standpoint? Yeah. But to me, there's a certain art about a good... art, no pun intended. There's an art to a good slasher kill. And for me, just the length of it. It goes on for so fucking long. Again, speaking of things being just drug out. It goes on for so fucking long. And, you know, the amount of stuff that Art the Clown does to this poor girl, you know, takes his scalpel and just wrenches down her eye. Brutal shit. Scalps the poor girl. Throws her on the bed. Breaks her arm. Tears her arm off. And, you know, I'm like, okay. And he's stabbing her in the back and slashing her in the back. And as we get those blood spurts all over the room, I'm like, okay, she's gonna be dead. No, he keeps going. He takes her other arm that is still attached and just rips it in half, like vertically, which I thought was crazy. Until, like, randomly her arm is just back together again. If you don't believe me, go rewatch the kill. It's pretty clear. But, you know, he rips her other arm in half, and then she's crawling. She's, like, crawling over to her phone. And I'm sitting there like, there's no fucking way that this woman would still be alive. There's just no feasible fucking way possible. And it kind of you know, when you first see it, you're like, oh my God. But upon rewatch, I'm like, there's just no fucking way. Then he comes back in with, you know, salt and bleach, and he's just, you know, pouring the bleach all over her, packing the salt into her wounds and shit. And it's like, at the very least, she would have fucking passed out just from sheer pain. But no, he keeps going, packs the salt, rips her fucking face off, and then her mom comes home. And, you know, she sees, you know, Art the Clown's cutting up her legs and shit. And then, you know, he kind of looks, you know, he looks at the mom, like, taunting her and shit. And then the daughter fucking looks up and is like, I'm like, there's no fucking way. It's just not, you know? It's like, to me, a good slasher film should be, or a good slasher kill should at most be like 30 to 45 seconds of just sheer fuck. You can be as brutal as you want. I don't mind that at all. I do not have a problem with the blood and the guts, as you guys know. But it's just, it goes on for so long, and you eventually get to the point where, like, there's no fucking way. There's just zero possible way. Now, maybe it'll be explained later on, or maybe we're just supposed to assume that, hey, Art the Clown's clearly not human, so maybe he has some sort of ability to keep people alive longer than they really should be. That's, I guess, a possibility. But for right now, it doesn't seem like it is, because he kills everybody else pretty efficiently in this movie. So I'm just going to chop it up to, it's a fun kill, but it just goes on for way too fucking long. My kill of the film, personally, I know the fact that it's not the bedroom kill might shock a lot of people. But nah, man, my kill of the film is going to go to the acid face kill. Sienna's friend, when she is basically looking for Sienna in the Terrifier. And Art the Clown, she runs into Art the Clown. Well, no, she's running away from Art the Clown, excuse me. And she runs into the Terrifier. And he eventually corners her and splashes acid in her fucking face. And, you know, she comes back and you get that shot of her skin fucking bubbling up and fucking melting. And you're like, oh, no. And sure enough, he takes this, like, 2x4 that has, like, knives and forks and, like, a bunch of sharp shit nailed through it. Takes that to her fucking kneecap and just obliterates her fucking knee. And then goes to her chest. Doesn't go for the head. The head's all melted up and fucking shit. He doesn't want to fuck with it. So he goes for the chest, and he just beats this woman's chest in with this fucking thing to the point where her entire chest cavity is just hollowed out. And it's absolutely fucking disgusting. Brutal. To me, it's my personal kill of the film. And let's not ignore the fact that he also rips her fucking heart out of her chest, which it's still beating, and maybe that lends more credence to the whole theory of him being able to keep people alive longer. But, you know, the heart's beating, and he just goes, and fucking takes a bite out of it. I'm like, oh no. To me, that's my personal kill of the film, would be the acid face kill. I just think it's fucking awesome. Really, all the kills in this movie, though, are top fucking notch. Good shit. Good shit all around, man. And that'll do it for my Terrifier 2 review, man. If you're in the mood for an absolutely stomach-churning, wild, crazy fucking horror ride, that's 2 hours and 15 minutes, I think. Fucking go for it. Absolutely go out of your way and watch this movie, even though I just spoiled the shit out of it for you, but overall, man, I love this fucking movie, and I think it's a fucking blast. But yeah, man, next time on Days of Darkness, we will be talking about next time on Days of Darkness, we're going to be continuing our Texas Chainsaw Massacre series review, and we are going to be talking about Texas Chainsaw 3D. Yay! But yeah, guys, as always, thank you for stopping by, supporting the channel, supporting the dream. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep watching horror. Alright, guys, have a good one.